How's everyone doing, guys? Cody, guys, back again, dropping out another video. Right, guys, someone that follows me on Twitter, George, has asked me to do a video on prison officers, right? Like, the job from their point of view, what they go through, what they encounter, and just, yeah, like treatment and stuff like that, how they treat cons and stuff. Now, like I say, obviously I've never been a prison officer and I'm not a screw boy, but yeah, I have, obviously on my last stretch and stuff, I was a cleaner at Forest Bank and stuff, right? Got out in Feb this year. And do you know what, right? I used to, like, I've been in strange ways, right? And I was in Forest Bank on another stretch, and then I've ended up on Forest Bank again. Now, the thing is, yeah, right, honestly, yeah, like, I used to think it was us versus them, as in prisoners versus prison officers, right? Now, I've got nothing positive to say about Strangeways staff, like HMP staff, right? That's just through my experience and stuff. However, Forest Bank screws and stuff were spot on. Apart from one Jobsworth guy that I've referred to in many of my other videos, staff were fantastic, good people skills, had a laugh with us, had senses of humour. You've got different interpretations of screws, right? You've got the old school, right? Now, the old school are like, if you're entitled to it, you'll get it, and if you're not, you won't, right? Simple as that. I've come across many old school screws in my time when I've been inside, and even though they're not bastards, though, it's like they know you're there to be punished, right? But the only punishment that prison is really is it takes your liberty away, your freedom, right? Everything else, the mental health problems, the long periods of bang up, which damages your mental health, causes mental health problems and stuff, and everything else is just ridiculous and stuff. But the officers that I used to interact with and stuff, right, they was thinking about leaving the job. A couple of them were thinking about leaving the job because obviously they're underpaid in their opinion, they're massively understaffed, they're overstretched, they've got low morale, and they get no support from the top brass within the prison and stuff, right? People that think that prisons, people that don't know anything about prisons, right, that think prisons are holiday camps and everything because you've got a TV in your cell. I've clearly never been in prison as a prisoner, on a visit to see a prisoner, or are just absolutely clueless. Prisons are horrible places full of death, misery and despair. Now, prison officers, right, they do a very difficult job. With an ever decreasing budget, with massive numbers of understaffing. Like on my wing, yeah, there was probably 90 prisoners, right, and there's probably like 3 prison officers, right, 4 prison officers, right, but normally about 3 on the wing and stuff. That was like average, right? So 3 prisoners, right, for 3 prison officers for 90 odd prisoners, right. In Strangeways, it was probably 5 or 6 for about 120 on the wing, on the induction wing, on the inner and on the outer. But yeah, do you know what? I sympathise with prison officers, guys. I know that sounds crazy. Anyone that's watching this from a former prisoner's perspective or a prisoner's family's perspective, if you have a bad run-in with screws all the time, right, you're going to have a bad idea about them. When you work alongside them and stuff, and you sort of become sort of friends with them, I guess, in a way. Like I said, we're not screw boys, but we was working, and we was out from 6 o'clock in the morning to like 8:15 at night, right, Monday to Friday. Saturday we was locked up about 5 o'clock, 5:15, right? Now, you get a good feel for their attitudes and what they go through and stuff. You see the self-harm, you see the suicide attempts, you see the overdoses, you see the suicides, you see the death and the despair and the misery and the mental health problems and stuff, put people covered in their own excrement, slashing up and stuff, right? It's not good, man. It affects you seeing it, but it affects the prison officers, right? There was a prison officer on my last stretch, right? The guy called Darren Rawlinson, right? God bless him, may rest in peace. Died on G1 of a drug overdose. Sickened, right? Because he died of a drug overdose on a drug-free wing, which tells you everything you need to know about prisons, right? But my red badge, right? He was a top guy, really down to earth, proper top bloke. If it wasn't for the prison officer like thing on the outside, I would have been friends with him and stuff. And he worked on Dan Rawlinson for about half an hour. He was found in his cell, which it wasn't on our wing, it was on a wing adjacent to mine, in Forest Bank. And the officer worked, he was found unresponsive, he had a very weak pulse, and he worked on him for about half an hour, giving him mouth-to-mouth chest compressions, things like that, trying to, no, I think something like that. He worked on him anyway. He was trying to bring him back to life and stuff. I don't know if his heart had stopped in the initial, but they got his heart started anyway. And there was a low pulse and stuff and everything. But like that stays with you guys, right? I think it was his third one I think it was his third death in custody. He'd been in the job about 2-3 years. Like I say, guys, they go through a lot, they see a lot, they experience a lot. Now, me honestly, guys, I want to be a prison officer for all the tea in China, because they work long hours. Like I say, prisons are unsafe. Prisons are very violent, volatile places, right? Violent incidents within prisons, assaults and stuff are at record high. 26,643 incidents in the last 12 months, which is a rise of 20% on last year, right? Self-harm, 40,414 incidents in the last 12 months and stuff, right? Prisons, that show, and the thing is as well, you're getting banged up for longer. So all them incidents, right? Like obviously assaults and stuff, right? That's like when you get unlocked and stuff, or you're on the exercise yard, or you're on association somewhere. Self-harm can take place behind your door, to be honest, when you're banged up and stuff. But prison officers do a very difficult job, guys, right? I've got compassion for them. But the thing is, right, I've done interviews in the last few weeks, right, where I've spoken out for prison officers, prisoners' families, and prison officers, right? But then Mark Fairhurst, who's a POA spokesman, come out and says, that prisons should be in shackles and stuff. Like, we're not in the 17 and 1800s, man. We're in 2017. The key is decreasing prison numbers, guys, right? But like I say, the thing is, staff retention is a big problem within the Ministry of Justice and stuff, because people, the job gets sold to these new recruits in prison offices, right? The young ages, right? The 20, 21, 22, right? And they probably think they're going to make a change in the prison system and in society and stuff. And the reality is very different and stuff. I mean, in Norway, they do 2 years worth of training before they put you on a wing. Here in the UK, 8-9 weeks, and you're thrown onto it. Now, no amount of training that a prison officer receives can give them the reality of what's going to hit them when they get the keys and they get into a wing or into a prison, right? Because the reality, no amount of training can give you that shock when you get feet on the ground and stuff, and you see the dirty protests, suicide, self-harm, overdoses, assaults on staff, prisoner to prisoner, the cell fires as well. So like I say, no amount of training can prepare you for the reality of that. I feel sorry for the staff and stuff. There's a lot of staff leaving on a weekly basis and stuff, because the fact is, it's not what they signed up for, right? The money that they get paid doesn't reflect the danger of the job that they do. Like I said, I'm not a screwboy, I'm for prisoners, me. But I've been asked to do this video, and I'm going to give an honest account and stuff, right? Now, like I say, I got on with the prison officers in my last stretch. I saw what they go through. I saw a suicide attempt. Well, he nearly died. A guy threw himself off the twos. Screw grabbed him. He monkey rolled forward, so he was hanging upside down, holding onto this rail, and the screws got him by the back of the legs. His pants come off in the screws' hands. He's fell head first and stuff, right? Stays with that prison officer and you for life, right? Now, like I say, they do a very difficult job, right? Any staff that go to prison and are bullies, right? You've got bully screws, right, that want to give the lads a kicking, right? They'll antagonise prisoners, right, to get a reaction so they can twist them up, right, or send the mufti squad in after them and stuff, right? Then you've got the screws that are old school, right? They do the job by the book. If you're entitled to it, you'll get it. If you're not, you won't, right? Then you've got the screws that come to work. It is simply a job. They're not like, they've not swapped these screws that I've come across, right, in Forest Bank. I've not swapped the personality for a set of keys, right, and a shirt and a clip-on tie, right? They're decent people, right, and they get on with you and they interact with you on that level. A lot of them listen to our plight as prisoners and stuff about prison reform and things like that, and agreed with us. They had compassion for us, right? Not all prison officers, right? Like I said, but there's good and bad in every society, right? Whether it's prisoners, whether it's criminals, whether it's Joe Public, whether it's prison officers, right? There's good and there's bullies that want to twist you up and stuff. Then you've got the ones that are old school. Then you've got the ones that it's just simply a job. They go to work, they get paid, and they want to go home to the loved one at the end of the day, because it's a matter of time before a prison, because of understaffing and stuff, and how dangerous and volatile and violent prisons are, because of frustration, anger, mental health problems, drug abuse, substance abuse, anger issues, mental health problems, and everything else in between, long periods of bang up and everything like that. Prisons are very violent, volatile places where the inmates are angry at the Ministry of Justice, the prison officers are angry at the system, but the prisoners can't get to the MOJ, so they attack the uniform. There's 7,169 incidents of assaults on prison officers in the last 12 months and stuff, right? Like I say, not all the lads that lash out do it because they want to. Like I said, mental health problems, things like that. But like I say, prison officers, the job's very dangerous. They're assaulted. They assault prisoners. Prisoners assault them. Sometimes it can. You might not have touched the prisoner who's just having a bad day, and he lashes out at the prison officer. Prison officers get swilled with piss or hot water. I've spoken to prison officers that on a night when they go home, one particular officer that I won't name, who's a top lad. Every night he went home from work and he'd get drunk. That was his coping mechanism. That's how he dealt with his experiences within prison. He was in his 20s. He was a former car salesman, now a prison officer. And the things that he sees, the suicides, the self-harm, the death and the despair within prisons, and it affects you. Now, like I say, it takes a certain sort of person to be a prison officer. But like I say, people sign up for the job. It's not what they signed up for. And very short, within 12 months of them starting the job, a lot of them leave because, like I say, it's not for them and stuff. The Ministry of Justice guys, right, treat them with contempt, right? They treat prisoners disgustingly, long periods of bang up and stuff, right? When they talk about prison reform, right, speak to the people it affects, prisoners' families, prison officers, right? Because prison reform campaigners want to change the system for the better for all involved, including prison officers. And also the Ministry of Justice would get a reduced number of violent incidents, self-harm would come down, things like that, but they don't listen to us because they think they know all and sundry, and they're all to themselves and stuff, right? But like I say, prison officers, they do a very difficult job with an ever-decreasing budget, long hours, they're not supported from the top. Prisons are badly run, guys, right? Prisons for profits, right, or private prisons, as you'll know more, like I said, I call them prisons for profits, right, which puts profit before the food of prisoners, safety of prison officers, safety of prisoners, and everything else, just in the name of profit, right? Capitalism, right, at its worst. Disgusting, guys, right? And I don't like seeing it. If anyone's thinking about joining the prison service, as whether it's a private prison or HMP, right? HMP prisons are going to be dying out, right? Because, like I say, privatisation, golden handshakes happening behind the scenes, Ministry of Justice get a backhand, these companies, G4S, Sodexo and everything, they get the contract and stuff, right? They make money off the prison system, off the PIN system within prison on the phones and stuff. They mark the food up within prisons when you go on visits and stuff like that. You work in 7 days a week for 7, 10, 15, 20 pound a week, 25 pound a week, right, in prison if you're a listener, or you're working on like you get outsourced to external companies, guys, as well. In my last prison there was a job, 25 pound a week on the kiosk, and it was working for an external company. You didn't speak to anybody on the phone, but you typed in what they said. Now minimum wage dictates, the law dictates, employment law dictates minimum wage, right? Now, so that means that company are paying the prison minimum wage, and the prisoner's getting a measly £25 for working 5 days a week, 9 till 5 or something, right? It's ridiculous, guys, honest to God. But like I say, there's a lot of people getting rich off the suffering of prisoners' families, and even prison officers, I suppose, as well, because of understaffing and stuff. The Ministry of Justice is saying that they're going to recruit 2,500 officers, drop in the ocean, guys, right? To pay for them, you could get more officers, you could double the number of officers, right? So I only want more prison officers so the lads can get out for more than an hour a day, because different prisons run different regimes and stuff, right? And if you release the 3,000 plus IPP prisoners in the system, because it saves the taxpayer 40 grand a year for each prisoner, that could recruit more prison officers, right? They're talking about building four super prisons at a price of 1.3 billion of the taxpayer, right? Now they can't staff the prisons they've got. The frailties across every prison, across the board, right? It's prisons, MOJ are failing prisoners, families, and prison officers, right, alike, right? Now invest that money. Don't build more prisons, because if they build more prisons, the prison numbers are going to increase, as are assaults on staff, assaults prisoner to prisoner, self-harm, suicide and stuff, right? Invest that money into the current infrastructure of prisons, right? Upgrade, employ more officers, give them a pay rise, right? Give the lads skills, training, education, qualifications, right? Get Skype installed within prison so they can see the children on the screen and like see the children grow up, because some of them are doing years, months, life, in prison, 10, 20 odd years, right? Whole life tariffs, dying in prison, right? Skype's the way forward, guys. The importance of family ties, guys, in prison, it can be the difference between life and death. But like I say, prison officers do a very difficult job. You've got bad prison officers that are corrupt and bullies, but like I said, you've also got a lot of decent officers within the prison system, and they feel sorry for the lads feel sorry for them. But I would never be a prison officer, guys. Just wouldn't do it, because the money, the danger of the job, and the things you see will stay with you for life. Lots of prison officers have got PTSD and stuff, as have prisoners that have witnessed these things as well. Right, guys, I'm going to leave it here. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.